Christmas is only a few months away, which makes this the perfect time to get a head start on those handmade gift tags. Today we're making a beautiful oversized gift tag featuring a stamped holly sprig that's colored with Copic markers. I'll also show you how to customize plain seam binding ribbon to perfectly match the tag, and it's easier than you might think. Now be sure to stick around until the end because I'll be sharing a couple of quick and easy last-minute gift tag ideas you can make when you're short on time. Hey everyone, it's Colorado Lean. Welcome back to the craft room. For today's tags, I am going to be using the Sizzix Tags Framelits with Stamps set. And I'm going to be using the largest tag that we have in the set. And this measures 5 inches tall by 2 5/8 inches across. I'm going to be cutting out our tag with 110-pound Recollections cardstock in white. And to trim this down, I am going to cut it in half at about 5 1/4 inches. And then I'll be cutting them at about 3 1/4 as well. I'm going to set these 2 scraps aside and we will bring them back in towards the end of the video. But for now, I'm going to take my 4 pieces of cardstock and I'm going to hop off camera for just a few minutes and get these die cut with my Sizzix Big Shot. Now that we have all 4 of our tags cut out, let's go ahead and bring in our Mini Misty. And I will get my tag lined up here in the lower left-hand corner. For the holly sprig, I am going to be using the Honeybee Stamps Pretty Poinsettia Stamp and Die set. So I am going to position this in the lower left-hand corner. And because we do not want to remove this stamp from the Misty until we are completely finished, I'm also going to bring in the stamp set that came with our Sizzix Framelits set, and I'm going to be stamping the to and from as well. So I am just going to add these 2 stamps in here. And then to stamp everything, I'm going to be using Gina K Designs Amalgam ink because this is a Copic friendly ink. And that is going to be very important today. And there is our first stamp. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp up the other 3. And then we will be right back together. I did give my ink some time to dry. And now we're going to start coloring with our Copics. For my green, I am going to use G29. And for the shadow on that, I'm going to use N6. For the berries, I'm going to use R46. And then I'm going to bring in a C5 for the shadow. Now this is going to be some very simple coloring because I have not worked with my Copic markers for a long time. So what I'm going to do with my N6, I am just going to trace up the lines that are already on my leaves. And they're obviously not going to be perfect. And then I'm going to fill in the color with G29. Now I'm going to use the C5 for the shadow on my little berries. And I'm just going to kind of dot that on. And then I will color in with R46. And there we go. Now that my Copic coloring is done, I'm going to bring my Misty back in. And I am going to stamp the image one more time, which is why we did not remove the holly sprig. I did take the to and from off and I put those away. But now we're just going to stamp over this one time to bring some of the detail back into the leaves. And there we go. To decorate the top of my tag today, I am going to be using 100% rayon seam binding. This is 14 millimeters or about ½ inch wide. And I did cut myself a length of ribbon. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spray it down with some water. Now, it doesn't have to be sopping wet, but a little bit of moisture on there will help the ink permeate the ribbon. And now I am going to use some lumberjack plaid distress ink. And I am just going to put some of this onto my Teflon mat. And before I go any farther, I am going to put on some gloves. Most of the time, I don't mind getting my hands dirty, but I'm just not feeling it today. So I'm going to spray a little bit of water down on my ink. And then we're just going to mush it all together. Now you can saturate this as much as you like. As you can see now, it's kind of a mottled, how do you say that? It's not completely covered. If you like that, you can go ahead and stop there. I think I want to get a little bit deeper red. So I'm going to just make sure I get the water off of my mat. And then I'm going to put more ink down. And then just a little bit of water. And I like how that looks. Now, if you want this to be a flat ribbon, then you'll want to lay it out nice and straight and let it dry. If you want it really, really, really wrinkled, wrap it up into a ball like that and let it dry. Or just kind of fluff it out a little bit so that air can get to it and it will dry like that. And that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to set this out on a piece of parchment paper, and it shouldn't take any time at all to get this to dry. It's really hot today. So I'm going to clean this up, dry my ribbon off, and then I will meet you back here to finish our gift tag. Our ribbon is completely dry, but I just wanted to show you a little comparison. This is what I made with you on screen, and this is the ribbon that I made yesterday. So it's a little bit lighter, it's a little patchy in places, So it just goes to show you that you may not get the same color every time you do this. It depends on how much ink you use, how much water you use. But, just so you're aware of that. And this is still very pretty. In fact, that's the ribbon that I used on my example tag here. So it is still very pretty, but it can be different. So I am just going to take a length of ribbon and I do not want to fight pushing a doubled ribbon through this hole. So I just grabbed some crochet thread that I have laying around. And I'm going to cut myself a length and feed it through the ribbon. And then this way I can just very easily pull that through. And there is my ribbon. I think I am going to cut this a little bit shorter. And there we go. Zoom that out a little bit so you can see the entire finished tag. Now, one thing I am going to do before I tuck these away for the season is I'm going to take some 1/4 inch score tape and place it on the back of my tag. And then that way, when I need to wrap my first present, all I have to do is take the paper backing off, put who the gift is to, who it's from, and slap it on my package. Even though I like to get a head start on my Christmas crafting, I somehow never make enough gift tags. When those last minute gifts pop up, I don't want to spend an hour pulling out stamps, inks, and markers. These next two ideas are perfect because they're quick, they're easy, and they're a great way to use up scraps. I have this beautiful piece of foil pattern paper from a Recollections paper pad. I'm not sure right now what the name of that was, but I will go ahead and put that up here on screen for you. I'm going to start this gift tag with a scrap piece of 110-pound Recollections cardstock in white. You can for sure do this in 65-pound if that's what you have. And I'm going to cut my tags at 3.5 inches tall by 3 inches wide. Now there are two ways that we can cut our pattern paper. We can either layer it on our tag with a mat or without a mat. So I'm going to show you both ways today. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut my pattern paper to 3.25 inches wide. And that would be the size for a mat. And then I am going to make a cut at 1 3/8 inch. And now for the mat, I am going to do the same. I'm going to mat this today with a piece of black cardstock. And I'm going to cut this to 3.25 inches wide. And then approximately 1 3/8 of an inch tall. Now the pattern paper to go with our mat, I need to cut this at 1¼ inch. So that'll be 1¼ inch tall. And that will be 3 1/8 inch wide. I'm going to glue all my layers together with Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. So I will start by gluing my pattern paper to the black mat. And again, this mat can be any color you like. I just happen to have a boatload of black paper scraps. And I think it goes really well with the red pattern paper and the foil. And then I am going to glue this to the top of my tag. And then I am just going to I think I'm going to recut this because that is crooked. Holy cow. All right, I'm going to bring in a smaller paper trimmer. And again, trim this to about 1 3/8 of an inch. And I'm going to try and get it a lot straighter. Well, it's not perfect, but it is a little bit better. So again, I am going to glue this directly to my 3.5 by 3 inch tag base. And then if you want, if you have the time and the energy, you can get out your stamp set and you can stamp in to and from. Today I am just going to use my Tombow I still can't say that word. Again, I will put that up there for you. It is a black brush pen. I haven't figured out the calligraphy part of it yet, but I do like it. And I am just going to add to and from. And my handwriting is, again, not perfect, but that's okay. I'm also going to add some score tape to the back of these so that I can just immediately put that onto a gift. And that is idea number 1. For my next quick and easy gift tag, I have some Recollections glitter cardstock from a previous project. As you can see, I was cutting out really pretty little ornaments. And I have tons of this cardstock left over. And it's not very big. They are about 2 1/4 inches by just a little shy. So my idea for this, and let's see, I think I'm going to use, let's make 3 of these. So I will use red, gold, and purple. And to start off, I am going to use the paper scraps from my previous cards. These are already 2 inches wide. So I am just going to cut them down to somewhere around 3 3/4 of an inch. You can definitely make this any size you like. Okay. And then this one is 3.5 inches. So again, I will just cut this down to 2. For my glitter cardstock, I am also going to cut these at 2 inches. And then now I can decide how much glitter I want on each card. So I think I'm going to have maybe about an inch. I think I'll cut it to an inch wide, or an inch long, I'm sorry. And then that way, if I want to cut them shorter, I can. And then all I'm going to do is glue them to the ends of my cardstock. Now, to make sure I get them on there straight, I am going to bring in my Misty stamping tool, which is what I always use. My red and my gold tags were a little bit wider than the glitter cardstock, so I did trim those down just a bit. But now you can decide if you want a vertical card or if you want a horizontal card. You can decide if you want to add a hole in the top with ribbon, or if you want to corner chomp, or if you want to round some of the corners. So I think I'm going to round all 4 corners on mine because I do like how that looks. And I am just using the We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper. This has a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch round on it. And I am not going to add ribbon to these, but I am going to get out my Tombow pen and just add the to and from. And there's idea number 2, another fantastic way to get a quick tag and use up some of those scraps that you may have had in your stash for years. I have to say, I just love how this Holly Spring gift tag turned out. The Copic coloring paired with the custom colored seam binding ribbon really gives it that extra special finishing touch. And these quick little gift tags that we made from scraps are a great reminder that you don't need a lot of supplies or time to create something handmade for your Christmas gifts. If you'd like to take a closer look at the details, especially the coloring and the ribbon, I've included lots of close-up photos and measurements on the corresponding blog post. There's a link down in the description if you'd like to check that out. Now I'd love to hear from you. Do you make your own gift tags every year, or do you usually buy them? And if you do make them yourself, are you someone who plans ahead, or do you find yourself making a batch of quick tags right before Christmas, like I always do? Let me know down in the comments. I always enjoy hearing how everyone approaches their holiday crafting. Thank you so much for spending some creative time with me today. If you enjoyed this project, I'd love it if you gave the video a thumbs up. And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next tutorial. I'll see you soon.